Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for more One Piece. So let's go ahead and get started, everyone. Yo, peoples! Qushu92 here. Welcome back to more One Piece. So, before I click on the chapter, I noticed that it says that we are going on break. And I also double-checked on Sakamoto Days to check and see if we're going on break. And we're going on break with Sakamoto Days next week as well. So your boy gets a break. Oh, I get a break. I get to relax just a little. Oh, it's been a long week. All last week it was long. I had a whole bunch of stuff just going on all week. And today went through the play that we were doing. I was a detective in it, and I had to also play during praise and worship at church as well. It was just a lot that was going on today. And now I'm doing this. And once I'm done with everything, once I'm done with One Piece and Sakamoto Days, and then later the newest One Piece episode, I am crashing and burning. It's been a long morning. I got me some water. But it's good to see all of you. I see you, Kohagen. I see you, Ogata. I see everyone else in chat. I'm telling you right now, this phone stand is just so useful. I've been so used to having my phone next to me or just looking at it that way. But this capability is just so much better. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has gifted me something on Throne. So I don't care. Let's see. I don't care if we win today. We'll just worsen our draft pick. Huh? Oh, I'm here because your Cowboy's been eliminated already? Oh, okay. Next chapter will be on the 4th of January. Yeah, because after this week, we only have 4 days left out of the entire year. Can y'all believe this is the last full week of 2025? I'm being serious. This is the last full week of 2025. But enough about that. We'll talk about it later. Right now, we have One Piece chapter 1169 because we are back in Elbaf. And last we left off, Harold found out the hard way that joining with the world government was not exactly the best idea. And now Emu is trying to make Harold obey, and Harold is pretty much giving us the prelude to the events of where we see his men basically chain him up and stab him. So let's see what happens with chapter 1169. And here we have what I may say is one of the best, if not the best, color cover spread for this entire chapter. And it is the Rocks Pirates. But they're all in like black suits, and I'm trying to remember if Luffy and company were all dressed in black as well. I want to say that they had either like a back cover art or like a color page where all of the Straw Hats were in black suits with Luffy in front. But we have Rocks, Big Mom, Streusen, Gloriosa, Kyo, Barbell, Kaido, Big Mom, Shiki, Ganjui, Captain John, Don Marlin, Wangji, and Whitebeard, along with Stussy as well. Every member of the Rocks Pirates, and they just chillin', but they all in suits. And Stussy is just... Whitebeard is sitting there with his arms crossed, and Stussy is sitting on top of his arm, just like having her hand just stroke his chin, and he does not enjoy it at all. He's not enjoying it at all. But yeah, it's the Rocks Pirates, and Rocks is in front petting a tiger. Sorry. But yeah, Rocks is on front just petting a tiger. Chapter 1169. My death cannot come soon enough. Oh! 14 years ago, Sunworld, Elbaf, Gabon's house. And we have Shanks. What? Captain Roger had a son? Apparently so. That's what Garp told me, at least. I'm amazed that he survived the Navy's search, then. Well, in that case, I guess he's like a little brother to me. You're not wrong about that. You and Buggy were our sons. If he's got Captain Roger's blood, then I guess he'll be the next generation's king of the pirates. And Shanks was thinking Ace was gonna take his father's place as the next king. That's Shanks at a young age, beforehand. If he's got Captain Rogers' blood, then I guess he'll be the next generation's king of the pirates. Hey, it ain't a hereditary position. Sometimes those with the greatest expectations placed on them fail to achieve that greatness. You think so? It's what makes life so fun and unpredictable. Meanwhile, the fateful scene at Elbaf's Aura's castle. And we have Loki. We cut to the outside of the castle, and it's when Loki was walking in, and he was laughing. Dog! Oh no, Loki! Something is in my eye. My goodness. 3 eyelashes? Trying to stab me. No, you don't. No, you don't. Get out of my eye. And I gave myself hiccups, too. Gave myself hiccups. Doga! Go, Doga! Oh no, Loki! Prince Loki has returned. Chief Jarl is here as well. And then outside of the royal chamber, and there's noise coming, there's noise coming from inside the throne room, and someone, I guess, was screaming, "Gah! Gah!" And then all of his other men are looking around him. Why did he... Your Majesty! Because it looks like Harold apparently stabbed one of his own men. However, we all know that he's not in control of his body right now. Emu is controlling him because of the Depths Covenant. You gain immortality and an incredibly strong body, but you can't refuse any commands from Emu. And Emu is making him kill his own men. Why did he... Your Majesty! He was going to chain you up like you said. Why did I cut down my guard like that? It was like my body moved on its own. Was it to fulfill Emu's orders? To eliminate those who would stop me? Form an army of warriors. Am I incapable of fighting back? Can those orders even alter my very thoughts? For the rest of my life? For as long as I continue to live, my presence will only make this country worse. My body is a blight upon its safety. It was a waste. It was all for nothing. 144 years of life down the drain. And he's just thinking about everything he's done in his life. 144 years of it just wasted. A century and almost a century and a half just wasted in his eyes. Because he remembers getting in front of everyone in Elbaf, ripping his horns off in front of everyone in Marineford, asking Saul to create a library and a school. 144 years of life, down the drain. My death cannot come soon enough. Quickly, kill me! And then all of his guards are all like, ah! I refuse to let Elbaf be enslaved. Hurry, before it's all taken over! Yeah. And it shows Harold slashing through one of his men again. Against his will. What are you doing, Majesty? And then Loki comes in. Hey, Pop, I'm back. And then we get to the scene where Harold is being killed by his own men. And we can fully say that it wasn't him being turned into a demon that caused him to do this. It was him telling his men to do this. However, let's remember one important thing about why Harold and why Emu is able to control Harold right now. But Loki and Jarl walk in to see Harold being skewered. What's going on in here? Harold! How can this be? I truly am immortal. Because Harold isn't being killed. Because since he's immortal, him being pierced through his body doesn't even do anything. So this isn't even how Harold dies.
I truly am immortal. I can feel my body recovering. Stop it! Run for your lives, men!
And Harold's body, despite him bleeding from the mouth, he's immortal, and he picks up his sword, and then he proceeds to sweep in a wide arc and hit all of the men that were stabbing him.
What can I do to die? Someone help!
And both Loki and Jarl are just beset with shock. And then we cut back to Gavin's house with Shanks. So basically, Harold and I have signed the shallowest of the covenants with this great one in Marijois? Even with just this Shallows covenant, we can't resist as long as we're within that freak's range? What an odd power. Oh wait, he's saying this. So basically, Harold and I have signed the shallowest of the covenants with this great one in Marijois. Even with just this Shallows covenant, we can't resist as long as we're within that freak's range. What a weird power. What an odd power. So once we were out of the Holy Land, we finally had the chance to talk openly.
I knew it! You are from the red-haired pirates!
Because that's the reason why Harold kind of recognized him. Because at the time, Shanks already created the red hair pirates back then. That's the reason why Harold was looking at him a little bit, because he recognized him. Harold was delighted about the deal he'd made to get Elbaf added to the government once he was in the Knights of God. And it also shows Ripley and Colin in the background, and she's just listening to the conversation. To get Elbaf added to the government once he was in the Knights of God. But to do that, he has to sign the next level of this covenant. Is that bad or something? Through the covenant, the Holy Knights of God gain superhuman strength and an undying body, as well as the ability to generate an abyss, a means of traveling long distances. But in exchange, no matter where you are, you cannot defy the orders of the Great One, whose voice will reach you at any range. So if he agrees to the covenant, Harold will be forced to do what those people say. Knowing how greedy they are, I can't imagine they would keep their word and give him what they promised. And Gavin's still just listening, but I'm so glad that Shanks is just explaining all of this, because he infiltrated. Ozzy, good to see you. And Holster. I don't think Harold should join the... And then all of a sudden, there's just a massive burst of hockey that emanates from Aurus Castle, and both Gavin and Shanks feel this. Huh? And it shows Loki fighting Harold.
Hang on a second, Dad. What am I supposed to react to first? The fact that you haven't died with all those wounds? Or the fact that you're trying to kill me and the castle guards? Where's this monster stray coming from?
And mind you, Harold is fighting evenly with Loki, if not, having more strength.
Where's this monster strength coming from? What happened to you, Harold? Come back to your senses.
And Jarl takes a sword out, and he's preparing to fight too.
Guards, to the royal chamber! Help stop the king! He's been taken by madness! Are they fighting? Hurry! It must be that darn Loki! Save the king!
And both Jarl and Loki grab Harold by the arm and slam him on the ground.
Explain yourself, Harold. What happened? Chief Jarl, I made a terrible mistake. Very soon, I truly will lose my mind. Listen closely, Loki. Do as I say. I want you to tell the people of Elbaf exactly what happened here. That I killed my own guards. That I used joining the world government as an excuse to do their dirty bidding. Ultimately, they lied to me, and look at me now. I'm about to hand over the people of Elbaf to the government to be their slaves in battle.
And then Loki is shocked to hear this.
Eh? What do you mean? They tricked you? They never had any intention of honoring my request.
And all the guards are hearing this.
Your Majesty! Your Majesty!
And Jarl is listening too.
Chief Jarl, feed the treasure of Elbaf to Loki. What? With the power of God, I will be unstoppable. Elbaf being enslaved by the government is the very antithesis of my dream. That makes me the worst king in the history of Elbaf. So you must kill me to take the throne, Loki. Tell the people what a fool of a king I was. Kill me and be a hero. Once I'm dead, my reputation means nothing to me. All that matters is Elbaf's future. Am I wrong?
And he says this while holding on to Loki by the scruff of his shirt and with tears in his eyes.
You'd really do all this for...
And then he slams his head against the pillar because he feels it taking over.
Please, Loki, you're the only one who can do it.
And then there's a loud scream from the castle as it shows Harold has been completely taken over as he swats away all of his men and he starts killing them. And it's a big panel where he's just sweeping his sword and killing his own men and he's not even saying anything anymore.
There are criminals within the castle. Huh? There are criminals within the castle. Huh? Your Majesty? Seal the front gate. Right away, Your Majesty.
And then another guard comes up behind Harold. Mind you, these words are not Harold's. He's been completely taken over and he's just following Emu's orders now. Harold is gone. He's no longer, he's just King Harold, servant of Emu now. But then and the other guards don't know this.
You killed them all! You're not the real King Harold! But I am Harold, and I am now a vassal of the Great One.
And even after he gets stabbed through the neck, and he's got a thick neck too, he basically forces the giant off of him while tearing through his neck. And then he cracks his neck as his neck regenerates.
No one shall escape to tell the tale of what happened here.
And he swats away his own men and he starts killing them. And then it shows one guard on the ground as he's struggling to scream, "Hurry, run!" before Harold walks up and literally crushes his head by stomping on it.
I will give this country over to Emu.
And then Jarl screams,
"Hurry, Loki! Why do I have to eat some devil fruit? Then I won't be able to swim anymore. What's gotten into him? What's got into him? He's like a totally different person." Don't you dare eat it, Loki. That fruit belongs to me. You just told me to eat it! If you eat that fruit, it will be the end of the...
And no, Jarl comes up and stabs Harold in the back, through the chest.
If you eat that fruit, it'll be the end of the world, Harold. Do it, Loki. Make sure Harold doesn't get that fruit.
And in that same instance, while he still has a sword sticking through his chest, Harold takes his sword and then throws it directly through Jarl's head. And that's how the sword ended up there. So now we know what the sword is. That's actually Jarl's own sword piercing straight through his skull.
Chief Jarl! You gave me that blade years ago, Jarl. Now you can have it back. I'll eat that fruit and take Ragnir for myself.
As Loki is already running to go get it.
You cannot have it!
And Harold is chasing after Loki. But then all of a sudden, before he can move, Shanks and Gavin show up and they slice directly into Harold.
It's Gavin. Yeah! Jarl! What happened to you? The helmet saved my life. Please, stop Harold. Don't let him go after Loki. Based on what you said, it looks like the worst-case scenario has come to pass.
Harold, look around you! Come to your senses!
Shanks, this undying body is a wonderful thing. I feel superior to all other life.
Darn it. Is there any way to break the control over him? And then it cuts to a lock being undone, and Loki running up into the chamber that has this forbidden devil fruit.
This is that storied relic of Elbaf, the forbidden devil fruit.
And then Loki senses something as a big old hammer going goes flying in, and it's the giant hammer that he has later on in life. Whoa! Who did that? And Loki dodges out of the way because someone, I don't even think it's Harold, someone else just threw this giant hammer at Loki inside of this room. And he just narrowly dodged it, and that's the end of the chapter. So that's the cliffhanger we're leaving out on. For the remainder of this year, the cliffhanger is Loki getting to the room that has the devil fruit, but apparently someone or something is trying to keep him from getting it. And we won't find out until... Oh, the hammer was next to the chest. The hammer has a mind of its own. The hammer has a mind of its own. Oh, I'm seeing it now. I didn't even notice the ding, ding, ding as it's slowly moving. The hammer is alive. The hammer is alive. The hammer moved and it's the hammer is the guardian of the devil fruit. I was thinking, because I was so focused on reading the script, on reading the words and looking at the chest, I didn't even fully notice that Ragnir itself was behind the chest. The hammer itself moved and tried to hit Loki. The hammer is alive. So that means Loki is maybe OP, so that means he has a devil fruit and the hammer itself, and he's a giant himself. He's quite strong. No wonder Loki had the hammer with him when he was tied up. I thought the giants were just dumb, but no, it's literally supposed to be there. It literally chose to be with Loki. We don't even know the fullest thing about this hammer now, but now knowing that it's capable of moving of its own accord, this isn't like Thor calling back Mjolnir. This hammer's alive. The question is it alive because of a devil fruit inside of the hammer? Or is it alive because of other means? Okay, alright, okay, that's the end of the chapter. Alright, I got so many questions. I have so many questions about everything that just transpired here. Okay, I'm kind of curious. We get to now see how Loki gained Ragnir's trust. We'll have to see. So, y'all know what we're about to do. One Piece 69, and since I got like a little stand, I could just move it close to me, and I could just read what the summary is by adjusting the stand. Oh, this is so cool! Thank you guys, seriously. All right, summary time. Yo, Elbaf makes so much sense now. This backstory was jam-packed. Yes. Oh, also, I need to read what you guys have said. Sorry, I need to read the comments first. Let's see. Hey, Cohagen. Good to see you, Anime Juke, as always. Luffy and the gang wore suits when they met Beji. Yeah, they were in black suits in the color page during the Punk Hazard or Dressrosa arc. Yeah, way to go, Harold. All of that prostrating to the world government for nothing. Oh, by the way, greetings, fellow peoples. Always good to see you, Ozzy. Thank you for being a member. At least this explains why Shanks let that Sea King bite his left arm off. I said this back when we were going through the flashback, when we were starting, and I saw Shanks, and I saw a tattoo on his arm wondering like, oh, this is kind of interesting what this mark is. I said this. I said this months ago. What if Shanks, because if he has a mark on this arm, and it's also the same arm that he lost, what if he allowed that Sea King to take it off so that way there was no possible way that Emu could do anything to him, or it was possibly linked to the Holy Knights or even the world government in some way? I said this way back when, that he let his arm get taken off so that he is completely disconnected from Marie-Joie and anything dealing with the Holy Knights or Emu of that matter. I said this, and now it seems even more likely like that's the case. Because after Shanks explaining it to us, even if you have that mark, you are left at Emu's mercy. Let's see, a bit late, don't you think, Shanks? Couldn't have done this when you met him in private before. I mean, Harold wouldn't have mattered. How many times has Rox spoken with Harold and told him that siding with the world government is a bad idea? And Harold could only see the highlights of it and the good things that it could possibly mean for the nation of Elbath, rather than, all the bad. I don't think even talking to Shanks would have convinced him because, well, Harold already made up his mind. So it's got nothing to do with Shanks, who was like waiting to the last minute to tell him. It's crazy scary how Emu has multiple ways to take over your mind, either directly possessing you, but it is really the covenants. It's really all of the covenants. If you have a covenant with Emu, you can't refuse them at all. We kind of saw this with Gunko, but does this leave the door open for some, definitely not all of the God Knights to have been good or innocent people at one point? I mean, it's entirely possible, given how she was remembering Brooke. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Let me see. Kind of saw. Yeah, it's entirely possible for some of these people to have been, decent. Not Somers, not Shamrock, but I feel it's more so if you were brought up within Marie-Joie, vast majority of the time, there's only a handful of people who are actually good, and it was only some members of the Don Quixote family. And it seems that whatever relationship Gunko had with Brooke, that might have been like a far more normal moment for her, rather than the stereotypical Celestial Dragon type moment that you see with every other member of a named family, like Mafe and the what is it? Mafe, Somers, Remo Shifu, all of these other members as well. Also, I do question Gavin after this. What do you mean you didn't have the full story? During chapter 1150 something or whatever it was, the hammer was next to the chest. Did Ragnar move on its own? Yes, I think so. What if the hammer is made to protect the devil fruit? At first I thought somebody was in there, but it's actually the hammer attacking him. It's protecting the chest. So that means... Oh, what's going on? Carmen Ramirez. Oh, hello from Mexico. Yeah, it's good to see you. Salud. Salud. Viva One Piece! Viva One Piece! And Feliz Navidad if you celebrate as well. Happy to have you here. I'm always happy to have people from different countries and different nations by. But, let me see. So yeah, that means Loki's made OP. No wonder Loki had the hammer with him when he was tied up. I thought the giants were just dumb, but no, it's literally chose to be there. That's scary. That's scary. A giant weapon that gets to that chooses who its master is or who it wants to be next to. We don't even know the relationship between Loki and Ragnar, whether it's a platonic one or one where it's all like, you have this devil fruit power, so you're stuck with me. I don't like you that much, but I'm gonna stick with you. We don't even know the full extent. But yeah, we get to now see how Loki gained Ragnar's trust. Elbaf makes so much sense. Yeah. Summary time. Yo, when we go back to the present, it's about to be a throwdown. Yes. Oh, it wouldn't have mattered, but then at least he told him, and Harold just chose not to listen. Harold got too close to his job. He was so sure that he had fantastic benefits and job security until he realized that he's just another cog in the machine and he can be easily replaced or manipulated. It's like working in retail. You could do a good job, you can get all these raises, but if you do something that the company doesn't like, they will drop you like a bad habit, and every single bit of benefits you had with it will be gone. Not even the how much good you did for the company would be enough. But yeah, it's not me blaming Shanks thing, it's more of a Shanks probably should have told him so he doesn't feel any potential guilt of not telling him in time when Harold went through it anyway. With the anyway thing. So Luffy must find a way to counter the Covenant. I don't think the Straw Hats are going to run away like they did on Egghead. We have to fight back. Elbaf is like Dressrosa and Alabasta. It's a nation in danger. We have to kick these guys out. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. This is not the same situation where the enemy is too strong, so they need to leave and escape to get stronger. We already had an arc where they had to leave and escape. That was Egghead. We are no longer in a position where the Straw Hats have to retreat to regroup. This is now the moment for them to bring their A game to show how strong they are, because Luffy's seen as a Yonko now. He's an Emperor of the Sea now. So them running from literally anyone, the world government, it would kind of make them look bad if they were trying to run from them. Or the world government found their way onto Elbaf, and the Straw Hats were there, but the world government pushed them away, and now the Straw Hats are running away with their tail tucked in between their legs. Think about how Morgans would spin this narrative. Make it seem like the Straw Hats were cowards. And then it would make it seem like, oh, is Luffy really worthy of the Emperor's title? He just got it, and he's running away from a foe? No, it wouldn't look good on them. I don't think we're in a situation right now where the Straw Hats need to leave. Luffy's strong now. Zoro is strong. Sanji is strong. Jinbei is strong. We got all of these strong members. We are no longer in a position where the Straw Hats have to run from anybody. You either face them now, or that's it. Love that retail comparison? I know, because I was in that situation. So that means that hammer is Thor's hammer? No, it's Ragnar. What if the hammer was there and witnessed the incident going on with Emu and them? Talking about ancient kingdom years old hammer? We don't know. We don't know how old the hammer is. That's the thing. And even if it was, how would one be able to get that information? Unless this is another object that can only be communicated with the voice of all things. I'm just saying, we've spoken to sea kings, we've spoken to a giant elephant, we've even spoken to a gigantic robot. So nothing is literally out of the realm of possibility of what can be spoken to. If it's inanimate, it doesn't mean it can't talk. You just need to have really good ears to hear it. Talking about ancient kingdom, years old hammer. The hammer can communicate through its mind. We don't have telepathic things. It's only people that have like Yeah, I said it. You need the voice of all things to hear certain things. So it's not a matter of like it can communicate with its mind because not everything can do that. So, you know. But now it's time for summary. Summary. At Gabon's house, Gabon tells Shanks that Roger had a son, having learned this from Garp the last time they met. Shanks happily look it this way. In Egghead, they only had to save Vegapunk. Now they must save a whole country, and when Luffy gets fed by said country, he will fight anybody and will not run from a fight. I mean, Wano is a good example. He got some red bean soup from Tama, and he literally put Kaido in the ground. Literally. And also another Yonko fell at that same instance. CP0 wasn't able to get their hands on Nico or Robin. They were also unable to stop Gear 5 and the Nika fruit from awakening. They were also incapable of stopping any of the Straw Hats. All of the Tobiropo were brought down. All of the Calamities were brought down. Looking forward to playing King when that next bit of DLC for Power Warriors 4 comes out because King looks insane. And Wano was freed from Orochi. Orochi met his end at the hands of the Akazaya 9. So yeah. When Luffy goes out of his way to save a country, he saves said country. At Gabon's house, Gabon tells Shanks that Roger had a son, having learned this from Garp from the last time they met. Shanks happily calls Roger's son his little brother, a sentiment Gabon shares as he considers him and Buggy their sons too. Shanks wonders if Roger's son will become the next pirate king of his generation, but Gabon informs Shanks that sometimes people with great expectations placed on them will be unable to live up to them, but that is what makes life so enjoyable. In Aurist Castle, Harold kills the guard he ordered to chain him to the pillar, to the guards and even Harold's own confusion. Harold realizes that his body moved on its own because of the orders Imu gave him, and he begins to fear that whatever orders they give him will change his thoughts forever. As such, Harold comes to see himself as the biggest threat to Elbaf and orders his men to kill him as soon as possible and before he kills everyone else. The guards reluctantly try to, and they stab Harold with their weapons, the moment where the flashback started and we see him being pierced through, but at the time we didn't know that he was already immortal, so him getting stabbed through did absolutely nothing. The guards reluctantly try to, and they stab Harold with their weapons, just as Loki and Jarl came into the throne room. To Harold's horror, he sees that he is indeed immortal, as the injuries he sustains are healing. In his mind, he begs his men to flee and for someone to stop him as he starts striking down everyone around him. Shanks tells Gabon that he and Harold signed the Shallows Covenant with Imu, but with it, they can only control whoever has it within a certain range. Thanks to that, both Shanks and Harold were able to converse freely once out of Marijois, which allowed Harold to confirm his suspicions about Shanks. Shanks then tells Gabon about how Harold said if he were to become a Knight of God, then he would be able to get Elbaf added to the world government. But Shanks knew that becoming one meant he would get a Depths Covenant, which, according to Shanks, is the source of the Knight's incredible strength and immortality and the ability to traverse long distances via the Abyss. But in exchange, Imu will be able to control that person wherever and whenever they want, with the recipient unable to defy their orders. Shanks knew this would happen to Harold if he became a knight, and he also knew the world government would not keep their word because of how greedy they are. And as such, he didn't want him to join. Just then, they sensed an incredible haki from the castle. Loki and Harold clash as both the former and Jarl demand to know what happened to him. The guards try to mobilize, with some thinking Loki was at fault, as Loki and Jarl restrain Harold. Harold tells Jarl that he made a terrible mistake and begs Loki to listen to him and do as he says. Specifically, what transpired in the castle and how he did the world government's dirty bidding based on a lie they told him. And now, because of that, he is about to hand Elbaf over to the world government as slaves in battle. Loki is confused by his father's words, as Harald orders Jarl to give their sacred devil fruit to Loki, believing it to be the only thing that can stop him. He begs Loki to kill him and tell everyone in Elbaf how he was the worst king they ever had because of what he did, and use it to become a hero in the eyes of their people and become the next king, while also saying he doesn't care what people think of them afterwards because Elbaf's future was more important. After telling Loki he is the only one he can trust to do this, Emu's orders corrupt Harald completely, and he massacres all of the guards surrounding him before ordering the guards standing outside to seal the gate, as there are criminals inside. One guard stabs Harald in the neck and calls him an imposter, but Harald recovers and announces himself as a vassal for the Great One, and no one will leave this room alive to tell what happened. Jarl tells Loki to get the fruit, and he reluctantly starts running for it as he didn't want to lose his ability to swim. Harald, however, wants to eat it now, but Jarl stabs him and reminds Harald that if he were the one to eat it, the world would end. How powerful is this devil fruit? If Harald was to get it, the world would end. How powerful is this thing? Unfortunately, Harald stabs Jarl in the head with a sword he gave the former long ago, claiming he can have it back now. But Jarl survives. Harald chases after Loki, declaring he will both eat the fruit and take Ragnir for himself, but he is intercepted by Shanks and Gavin. Jarl tells them to stop Harald, and Gavin realizes Shanks' worst-case scenario has happened. Shanks tries to get through to Harald, but he says he feels superior to all other life, thanks to his immortal body, leaving Shanks to wonder how to break control over him. As for Loki, he successfully reaches the legendary devil fruit, but just before he can open the chest, Ragnir somehow attacks him on its own, to Loki's confusion. So, here are the notes. Gavin reveals to Shanks that Garp told him Roger has a son. When Harald loses control of his body, he tells the guards to kill him. With Loki and Jarl reaching the castle as Harald is stabbed by the guards, but Harald's immortality stops him from getting killed. Shanks reveals that the Knights of God with a Shallows Covenant can only disobey Emu when away from Marijwa. So that explains why his mark never got upgraded. So after this event with Harald, and after seeing what happens, he probably just stayed away from Marijwa at that point, and then went on to continue to, because he's already formed the Red Hair Pirates already. They're already formed. They were already formed when he helped Fisher Tiger break a whole bunch of people out of Marijwa back then. He already had the Red Hair Pirates during that time. That's the reason why Harald recognized him. Shanks reveals that the Knights of God with a Shallows Covenant can only disobey Emu when away from Marijwa, but those with the Depths Covenant cannot defy orders, no matter their location. Because of this, Shanks wanted to tell Harald to not accept the position as a knight. He wanted to tell Harald that, but Harald was like, no, I gotta do this for my country. When Loki and Jarl tried to stop Harald and demand an explanation, Harald reveals the world government had tricked him. Harald tells Loki to eat the devil fruit that has been passed down in Elbaf, as it is the only thing that can stop him, then to kill him and tell the people of Elbaf the truth of what happened. As Loki runs to find the devil fruit, Harald's personality completely changes. He's been completely taken over. Maybe I should move it just a little bit right here, so that way I can look more at the camera while I'm looking. Yeah, it's nice. As Loki runs to find the devil fruit, Harald's personality completely changes. He attacks every guard around and stabs Jarl in the head with his sword, but Jarl survives. Gavin and Shanks reach the castle and try to stop Harald. Loki finds the devil fruit, but before he can take it, Ragnir moves on its own and attacks him. And this is where we're going on a break from for the rest of the year until we head back into January. And also, once we get done with all of these episodes of One Piece, we won't get another episode of One Piece until April. And that's when the Elbaf arc is supposed to start. I believe we have today, and I believe we have next Sunday, and then that's it for 3 months of One Piece anime episodes. But now we're about to, and here's what I'm really hoping for, and we'll discuss this with the reflections on the 31st, and I will be able to do the 31st on that day. But what I'm really hoping for to see is I honestly feel we're going to find out what that fruit actually is and how Loki gets to fully use Ragnar for himself, because we don't even know the fullest extent of Ragnar except that when Loki slams something, a bolt of lightning just comes out of nowhere and then proceeds to just strike whatever he's struck. So we don't even know what Ragnar is, the fullest capabilities of it, and even if any of this has to do with the hammer itself having a devil fruit in it somehow infused and it can do different things, or if it's something completely different that we haven't seen for an inanimate object to behave like it has a mind of its own and it's a hammer. So there's plenty of things that I really would like to find out about this. However, Oda put out some very important news, not only concerning the One Piece anime and not only concerning the One Piece Netflix show, but also put some information about where 2026 is going to take us in the manga. So, let me read what Oda said. So, it says, Eiichiro Oda's message to everyone visiting Jump Festa, hello, towards a future society where lives shine. I am Miyakuda, Miyaku Ichiro. When I asked my editor to summarize what we're doing next year for this comment, there was a huge lineup of events. But they said, you can't talk about this, or this, or this, or this yet. Wait, does that mean I can't say almost anything? Looking at the list, many of the projects are clearly aimed at an international audience, including Japan, of course. The previously announced new anime, The One Piece, is also being made for a global audience and is progressing steadily. Good to know. And on March 10th next year, Season 2 of the Hollywood live-action One Piece will finally be released. Chopper will make his debut. Every time new footage comes in, I can't help but say, so cute, so cute. Come March next year, you'll all be saying the same thing too. Be sure to fully enjoy the Straw Hat Crew vibes from the rest of the wonderfully eccentric cast, including Inaki and the others. In fact, filming for Season 3 has already begun, which means the Arabasta arc will be completed with it. Look forward to it. As for the anime movie, I've been told I'm not allowed to talk about it yet. And honestly, I can't say it's progressing smoothly either, but maybe saying this will get things moving. Like, hey, hurry it up! Laughs. It's definitely something I think a lot of you will. I think a lot of you will be interested in. So please wait patiently, very patiently. Now comes the important part. Now then, since it's Jump Festa, let's talk about the original Jump manga. After a long flashback, more like a deep dive into history, we return to the present day. And just when your perspective on Elbaf has started to shift, boom! It ends with a big flashy finish. And from here on out, things get really intense. To that island that only the Pirate King ever reached, the man marked by flames appears. Two people who never cross paths finally meet. And those two run into each other as well. Is next year going to be a full-blown festival of encounters? The story moves at lightning speed, but I've unfortunately gotten older, so while taking care of my health, I'll continue next year to sail through One Piece at its fastest pace yet. Steady and full force. Ahead lies a festival. Please look forward to it. Eiichiro Oda. Yeah. If the anime-only watchers think that Egghead was fire, then wait until they get a load of Elbaf. Wait until they get a load of the Rocks flashback when it's animated. Oda is about to cook. This man said he's already talking about Laugh Tale. He's already talking about the man marked by flames. Two people who have never crossed paths are going to meet, and two others who haven't seen each other, and two other people are going to run into each other. But it's and the fact that he says that how Elbaf is going to end in a big finish. Just when your perspective on Elbaf has started to shift, boom, it ends with a big flashy finish, and from here on out, things get really intense. This man said that when things finish with Elbaf, things are about to get intense. As if everything we've been through after his 6-month-long break, getting into Egghead, seeing everything happen in Egghead, the Gorosei showing up, showing their awakened devil fruit states. Everything dealing with Kizaru. Learning all this different stuff about the world and how it's about to sink into the sea. Then getting to Elbaf, finding out that the world has been devastated not once, not 2 times, but 3 whole times. And that's the reason why the waters are so high and why the world is mostly ocean. Because the world used to be mostly land. Not only that, finding out more about Emu, finding out how strong Joy Boy was just from his hockey, finding out about Rocks, finding out about Harold, finding out all these everything that's transpired in Elbaf. Emu taking over Gunko after Gunko started to regain memories about whatever her relationship is with Brooke. And then breaking into this flashback, which is about to get close to present day. And then Oda saying that when this thing concludes in a big flashy finish, that's when things get intense! That's when things get intense! To Oda's eyes, things aren't intense now? Okay, Oda. Okay, Oda. I will say, if the timelines match up correctly, a God Valley movie is not off the table, though it's probably just gonna be a non-canon movie with some small piece of canon information. Yeah, Oda is about to cook. Either I'm hyped for manga, live action, anime, everything One Piece next year. Yeah, it's really about to hit the fan as soon as Elbaf is over. Because there's so much turmoil going on in Marijois alone. We still got the revolutionaries who are looking towards, mobilizing very soon. I honestly feel that 2026 is probably going to be the year for One Piece. And I'm not going to assume to know how Oda writes. All right? I'm not going to assume to know how Oda writes. But I honestly feel that 2026 will probably be the year where we start to witness the world of One Piece go at war. There's only so much more that's transpiring right now, and it's like a powder keg that is literally waiting to blow. And I feel like what happens after Elbaf is going to be the start of a very long line of dynamite on the floor, and then it leads up to a big old giant underground bunker, like something out of Looney Tunes. Big old giant underground bunker full of explosives and dynamite and TNT. I feel like that line that we started ever since we were at Egghead has slowly been getting closer and closer to the underground explosives bunker. And we're getting close to it. Elbaf is going to be that point. That's how I feel. I feel like the next year of One Piece is probably going to be its most intense yet. Even more than anything we've seen from Wano, Dressrosa, Marineford, Egghead, even Elbaf right now. And we're not even done with Elbaf. And we had such a wonderful flashback with Rocks. And quite frankly, Rocks is one of the best written characters I've seen in One Piece in a hot minute. And it's really good. Really, his whole story is really good. How the Rocks Pirates were formed, the dynamics of the different members of the Rocks Pirates, from Big Mom to Kaido to Whitebeard to Stussy to everyone else in between. But I honestly feel 2026 is going to be an incredibly intense year for One Piece. And all this stuff that had me jumping up out of my seat just completely beset with excitement, but also fear a whole bunch because of how crazy things have been getting. I feel like I'm going to be doing way more next year if this is the quality that Oda is putting out there. But yeah, that was chapter 1169. And this is the last, frankly, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last chapter. I gotta edit this. This is the last chapter of 2025. We don't get one until the 4th of January. This is the last chapter of 2025. I gotta put that in the title now. There we go. Yeah, it's been changed. Last chapter of 2025. I want someone. My Hero what? Demon who? Look, I love My Hero Academia. I haven't caught up to the anime because it's been a while since I last saw through it, but seeing that My Hero Academia has ended, the anime has ended after what, 7 years? It's been a while. It's been a while. And I'm happy for My Hero Academia. I really am. I love that. I love that series. I really do. But One Piece is out here letting people know that, oh, don't worry, I'm still here. I'm still here. What a nice chapter to end on. The fact it was a good chapter, and for reasons, I love My Hero Academia too. But I'm just saying, oh no, you're right though. I want someone to use a light form of Domi Reversi on Sanji to make him use his hands too in fights. Nice try. It's not gonna happen though. That's not how it works. It doesn't reverse your person. It doesn't reverse how you do things as a person. It just reverses your personality from being a person who is free and nice and just turn you into a demon for Emu. So yeah, Sanji's not going to use his hands. It's Kohagen. I'm not about to get into this conversation with you again. I'm done talking about it. We're not doing this again. I already gave you the reasons why. I already gave you the story reasons why. I don't care if it don't make sense to you. It's Sanji's character. He's never going to use his hands because as a cook, he values the safety of his hands. We're not doing this. We are not. How dare you bring this up on the last chapter of 2025? Like my opinion is going to change on it. How dare you? I'm kidding though. I know how much you want him to use his hands for some reasons. Him having an exoskeleton and increased durability does not change the fact that he still doesn't like to use his hands because they are only for cooking. He already made that statement for himself. So, yeah, this is the end of this conversation. We will not have it again. But overall, this was a very good chapter, but also the fact that this is the last chapter we're getting in 2025. So, here's a good question. Because it would be epic? Because you think it would be epic. Because you think it would be epic. Not because it actually would be. He's only ever going to use his hands to fight if it's a cooking battle. That's the reason why he used it against Wanze on the train that was heading to Eni's lobby. Because the dude was using food to fight. That's the only reason he used his hands. Because Chef is not about to have food be wasted. Even though Wanze was nasty with it. But yeah, nah. Feet only. Be doing a disservice to Onizef. But since this is the last chapter of 2025, before I go, I want everyone's consensus. What did you think of One Piece this year? Now, I'm going to bring this question up again when we have our reflections next Wednesday. Not this upcoming Wednesday, but the Wednesday of next week. What did you all think of One Piece this year? Because I feel like we've had some of the best possible chapters of One Piece throughout this entire year. And though we took like a big chunk of a break, I still think these were some of the best chapters of One Piece in the years that I've covered this series on the channel. That's my entire opinion. I think Oda really outdid himself. Oh, snap. So this just dropped a little bit earlier. Apparently, Rox's voice actor confirmed you won't believe who. He didn't even audition. They asked him to play Zebek. They asked him to play Rox. One Piece, 23,756 out of 10. Good number, good number. The pacing was on point, not too slow, not too fast. I think the rocks part was the highlight. I think so as well. The rocks part, I want to say, was by far the best flashback we've had. And we've also had Kuma's flashback this year, right? It wasn't last year. I believe we had Kuma's flashback this year. Hold on. Let's do this, because since I got Viz here, I can go all the way to the first chapter we had from this entire year. And that was chapter 1135. And that was Friends Cups. No. Yeah, we were already done with Kuma's flashback because we were already in the middle of Elbaf with chapter 1135. And this is when we get introduced to Biblo, the owl in the library, and also us being introduced to finding out that Ripley is Colin's mom, and then the rest of the Straw Hat crew getting their official Elbaf gear and everything. So that's where we started. And we get reintroduced to Chief Jarl, Beard Hero Jarl again. But yeah. Kuma's flashback was last year. It's going to be hard to top this year's run of One Piece. I think so as well. I think this was a really good year for One Piece. I have to be honest with you. And Robin and Saul reuniting, yes, that was good too. That was a really good moment for the both of them. But I have to agree that the pacing for these chapters, I think, have been really good. We didn't get any drawn-out timers or anything that was drawn out any longer than it needed to be. We just went from one part of the story to the next. Shamrock arriving was the last chapter of 2024. Yeah, Shamrock arriving was the last thing. The last thing we get here is us leading up to the getting close to the present day of Loki preparing to get this forbidden legendary devil fruit. And I really wonder how legendary this fruit is going to be. But a legendary devil fruit and the hammer itself to attacking him. To be honest, I hate long flashbacks, but not this one with Harold. Yeah, I don't mind this one either, because I genuinely enjoyed Kuma's, and I genuinely enjoyed Odin's. But I feel Rock's, especially seeing how he got his crew through the Davy back fights, because I know how much you love them, through the Davy back fights, but also seeing his crew go around the world just wreaking havoc, and then seeing the events of God Valley itself and finding out the very specifics of it and everything, including finding out like how Shanks wound up with the Roger Pirates and everything else. Just everything that dealt with Rocks was incredibly well done and good storytelling. This was a flashback on top of a flashback on top of a flashback. Yes, it was. But we also saw some more cracks in the armor of Emu, because at the mention of Davy Jones, Emu got mad and upset, saying like, Davy Jones was not a king! Our business with, the business of Moo and Davy have nothing to do with you. So there's a lot more history over there. So it's not just the members of the D clan that Emu has an issue with, it is also members of the Davy clan as well as the Buccaneers. So a lot of things were revealed, but we'll talk more about it next Wednesday. So we can go full in depth of this whole thing altogether for basically the last day of the year. So it should be fun. But ladies and gentlemen, still got my food here. I'm going to eat that first before we get started with Sakamoto Days, because Sakamoto is awake. Oda, how many flashbacks do you think you'll do this year? Hi. I gave myself hiccups in the middle of saying that. Sorry. But yeah, I'm going to eat my food first, and then we'll get started with Sakamoto Days. Then when I get done with that, do my recording for my reaction for the newest episode of One Piece. Get that out to you guys as soon as possible. I'm going to make sure I get it out to you guys before the sun sets. And then I'm just going to relax. Supposed to be meeting up with Chris and going to and messing around in Warframe, because I just got Gaia Prime, and I got all of her stuff now, and it's all built, and I'm working on leveling her up. But ladies and gentlemen, if I don't see you anymore after this, especially if you're just here for One Piece reactions, and I don't see you on anything else I do throughout this week or a little bit of next week, or even not on New Year's, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch me. And it's just a blessing. This channel has reached 6,000 subscribers, and I'm looking forward to entertaining so many more of you next year. I got some big things that I want to do next year that I've kind of been thinking about, but I never got around to it. And, well, just to give you a little bit of a hint, I think it's time I update. I think it's time that I do a redo of how I started this channel. I think certain chapters of a certain manga might need to have a brand new, fresh set of sessions done, so that way it can be a little bit more updated, so people can enjoy a certain series from its first volume all the way to its ongoing chapters, such as the chapter that we did today. So where I left off with volume 82 of this series, might do a redo of the chapters I did way back in 2016 and give them a little bit of an update, you know? Okay? Yeah, I just thought I figured I'd leave you with that. But that's something I'm probably going to do next year for you guys. And other than that, it's just an honor and a privilege to be your entertainer. All I can say to you is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. Oh, also check out the Patreon too as well, but I'm always looking forward to entertaining you, and because I know you're coming back anyway. Have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples. Time to eat.